this'll be a double bill. I'll be doing a few more of them in this series of videos. The downside for most is that these are gonna be over an hour long, and nobody likes hour-long videos. But hey, at least I'm giving you more to watch. Oh, and also, if you've got something that you need to do in a few minutes, here's something to consider. Maybe pausing the video, go do whatever, and then watch the rest of this video afterwards.
Duh!
I bet half of you didn't know that this was CGI Thomas before CGI Thomas.
The sun was shining brightly. James and Toby were taking the children to the seaside.
At least James is given the chance to pull coaches. If he was pulling trucks today, you wouldn't hear the end of his complaining.
Thomas was taking a big tank of raspberry syrup to the ice cream factory.
It's pretty clear that Season 8 was during the huge merchandise explosion for the franchise. Steam trains plus a really young demographic equals a crap ton of quality toys. Especially really bizarre rolling stock like raspberry tankers, chocolate trucks, recycling trucks, and aquarium trucks. Yeah, toys sold at the Early Learning Center didn't usually represent realistic railways.
The factory manager was waiting for him. "We have to make lots more ice cream," he cried. "You must go and get the cream, the chocolate, and the strawberries."
Don't worry though, we still have plenty of vanilla and mint.
"If we get everything in time," said Thomas's driver, "we can still take some children."
I think this was the last time the drivers and firemen ever did anything of worth or even said anything until season 17 or 18. But even then, that was pretty rare.
Then Thomas had to stop for James.
Don't you think there should be some signals here?
James's carriages were full of laughing children. They were going to the seaside. "Why does James get to take the children?" moaned Thomas.
Because if he didn't, we'd be hearing this all day.
The farm workers loaded his trucks. Before long, they were filled with plump, ripe strawberries.
This is why it's important to cover your loads with tarpaulin, kids, because you don't want smoke and ashes from the funnel to contaminate them. Sooty strawberries. My favorite.
Next, he had to go to the chocolate factory.
A normal chocolate factory, not an extraordinary one.
But he puffed so fast, the signalman didn't change the points in time. Thomas raced down the wrong track. Then he had to wait while Toby went past.
Toby was going to come along the main line anyway. They were both going to be clumsily diverted into the siding. I'm really surprised the Fat Controller hasn't fired most of these signalmen already. They are the cause of most crashes and accidents.
"Hurry up!" cried Thomas. "If I'm quick, I might still get to take some children."
We get it. Can you stop repeating that statement?
The workmen loaded Thomas's trucks as fast as they could. They were soon filled with heaps of chocolatey cocoa powder.
Now why isn't the cocoa delivered in sacks or boxes? What if something were to happen, like...
The coupling broke. Thomas shot forward. Cocoa powder flew everywhere.
Exactly.
Thomas arrived at the ice cream factory. He thought his job was nearly done.
Don't you think the modern, bright design of the ice cream factory clashes with these 1940s lorries over there?
They all cheered as Thomas pulled into the station. Thomas was surprised. "Why are all the children cheering?" puffed Thomas.
Because this is a Day Out with Thomas event, and the children had been waiting to see their favorite blue tank engine instead of this green saddle tank engine. What do you think they're cheering for?
The Fat Controller was waiting with the children.
Oh, it's not like I have schedules and timetables to keep track of. Oh, no. I have time to sunbathe on some random beach on my railway. Gee, I wonder what me mother is doing in me office. Well, it's about time we got an Emily episode. If they wanted to market her as a new main character, don't you think we should have had an Emily episode on the first Season 8 DVD we looked at? That one was released before this one. It would have been better to put, say, Emily's New Roots or As Good as Gordon on there instead of Thomas and the Tuba.
Trees were blown down. A water tower fell over. And the roof blew right off Farmer McColl's barn.
Now I can see why there's always a storm on Sodor, because the crew love blowing apart their own sets.
Emily was very pleased to be safe and warm in her cosy shed.
Oh yeah, and this was before calling all engines, where she moved into Tidmouth sheds with the others.
Trevor and the workmen were trying to move the tree, but moving it was taking a long time. "Hurry up," Emily puffed impatiently. "You must work harder." And she blew her whistle.
Now we come to the most controversial thing about Emily. How they completely changed her character in Season 8. She went from being kind, caring, helpful, mature, compassionate, and always sensitive to the feelings of others, to a fussy, rude, rebellious, and bossy bitch to the others. Just look at her in Emily's New Coaches and then As Good as Gordon back to back, and you will notice a big difference. My opinion on it? I don't get why they did it. The fact that they drastically changed Edward, Toby, and especially Henry's characters was strange enough, but to change the character they had just introduced last year in a season lightly under Hit Entertainment's management, with 2 whole episodes clearly showing the best examples of her personality, why? Her character in Season 7 is fairly unique compared to the rest of the Steam team, and episodes like Emily's Adventure would have somewhat worked with her old one, so why give her the same character as Gordon and James? They already have bossy, fussy characters. All I can say is, I am glad Andrew Brenner reverted Emily back to her old character in the ARC Productions era.
Elizabeth was helping the workmen push the tower off the track. The tower was very heavy.
Wouldn't you need a crane for this?
Thomas arrived bringing more supplies.
In coaches?
Emily complained about Elizabeth. "She won't do a thing I tell her." "That's because you're a big bossy boiler," laughed Thomas. "You should try asking nicely for a change."
I'm not gonna lie. To me, this is the most relatable moral out of the entire new series. There were loads of times as a kid where I kept forgetting to say please and thank you and... Oh God, I'm getting the worst parts of my life flashbacks. Childhood flashbacks. We should move on.
Emily was surprised. Thomas was right. Asking nicely was just like magic.
Oh God, that's a strange way of describing it.
So whenever there was something on the track, she took a deep breath and said, "Please and thank you."
Well, she didn't need to there. The line was already clear.
The barn was soon repaired.
I doubt that the roof would have been repaired that quickly. But then again, this show was owned by the same company who owned Bob the Builder.
Here are some dots. If we join the dots, we will see one of the engines on the Fat Controller's railway.
Oh, I forgot these DVDs had guessing games and songs in them.
This engine's got 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels and 1 wheel arch just in front of the cab. Do you know who it is?
No joke. The first few times I saw this join the dots section, I actually guessed the wrong engine. Seriously, I seriously thought it was James, but to my surprise,
it's Edward.
Considering how most of these guess the character games are easier than maths in nursery, it is dead shocking that I got one of them wrong. It was mostly because James and Edward have very similar sizes and bodies.
Edward is the same colour as Thomas and the same size as James. One morning, Toby was delivering some milk trucks.
And where is Daisy right now? Well, I was going to say she was lazily sleeping somewhere on Thomas's branch line, but considering she is absolutely nowhere to be seen for 16 whole seasons, I have no idea. God, listen to the sound effects in this scene. They are amazing. They, along with the camera angles and the slowed down footage, show you how heavy the train is and how hard it is for engines to pull it.
I'm trying my hardest, gasped Toby. Ah, sniffed Gordon. You're not even a proper engine. This made Toby feel very sad.
Don't listen to him, Toby. Okay, next scene.
Edward is needed at the docks, the Fat Controller said. You are to work at Wellsworth Yard in his place.
And where is Boko right now? Yeah, he retired after season 5. He couldn't take Bill and Ben's behaviour anymore.
The next morning, Toby puffed nervously out of his shed.
Oh yeah, for a long time on the show, Toby was sleeping in his own shed at Alsdale End. You might be thinking, why does Alsdale End look a hell of a lot like Toby's old shut-down railway? But don't worry, the Thomas Wiki states that Toby's shed is located north of the Farquhar Quarry, which makes a lot of sense to me.
He shunted coal trucks for Henry.
Given how this is the hit entertainment era, the trucks are most likely filled with special coal, which, you know, Henry doesn't need to take anymore.
And sleigh trucks for Donald. He even shunted fruit and vegetable trucks for Douglas.
Holy shit, they mentioned Donald and Douglas. They aren't shown on screen, but they mentioned them, and they knew they existed. Coming from a season that focuses more on 8 engines instead of all of them, that is surprising as hell to hear.
But then, Gordon puffed past. He was pulling the express with lots of coaches.
He's only pulling 3 coaches. I would have expected him to pull 8 coaches. Or was that too much for the models to handle?
Gordon looked much too heavy for me to push, Toby puffed nervously. Don't worry, Thomas called. You can do it, Toby.
Why can't Thomas do it? He's not doing anything. Plus, he's stronger than Toby.
Toby buffered up behind Gordon. Then he pushed with all his might.
Say, is anyone else reminded of Tobias and the Half-Pariah when they watch this scene?
Toby pushed harder and harder. Suddenly, Gordon's wheels started to move. Toby kept pushing. His engines roared and his axles ached. You can do it, Toby, go on, cried Percy. Toby huffed and puffed and chuffed, but at last he pushed Gordon right to the top of the hill. Gordon was impressed. Now his express would run on time.
Okay, Season 8 is completely mediocre compared to any of the classic seasons, but there are some really good episodes and scenes here or there. This episode's climax is one of those scenes. The music, the sound effects, it starts really slow and quiet to start, and it gets louder and faster the further he pushes him up the hill, showing that a small old engine like Toby still has a lot of strength in him. Some people might not agree with me, but I think this scene is great.
It was cold and snowy on the island of Sodor. The village children had built a snow engine.
Wow, these kids have some impressive, careful hands.
This year, there was even more snow. It had covered the island and blocked the roads. Bertie the bus couldn't take any passengers.
Why didn't they ever introduce another bus character during the 24 seasons of the same continuity, even if it was just a Bertie recolor? Why not a blue one, or a green one, a black one, or a... Yellow one, I don't know. I just don't like that Bertie is the lone wolf when it comes to roadside passengers.
Percy was worried. He usually took the mail or shunted trucks. He hadn't pulled passengers for a long time.
Let me check. There, Harold and the Flying Horse. 19 episodes ago.
When Percy backed up to collect his carriages, he bumped them very hard.
Great. Now there's going to be a relapse of what happened to James and Sir Handel.
Gordon backed smoothly up to his carriages and buffered up to them very gently.
I thought tender engines don't fetch their own coaches.
Look at all those passengers!
He gasped. He blew his whistle and wheeshed lots of steam.
Percy, this is normal. Did you think a station this big only has 2 passengers on the platform every day?
Gordon puffed through the snowy valley. Percy puffed under the icy bridge.
Reusing old props, saving our budget in some way.
The passengers were all on board. Percy wheeshed some steam.
You're learning a little bit,
Groaned Gordon.
but you're still not doing it right. Watch me.
Now fuck off. He's doing exactly what you told him to do. Give him a break.
Everyone watched as he puffed into a big pile of snow.
Yuck!
Coughed Gordon.
Right over a landmine by the looks of things.
Gordon was very embarrassed. His face was as red as Bertie the bus.
Can engines get hypothermia? If they can, then Gordon won't be able to recover from this.
Later that evening, it was time to go home. The passengers were all aboard Gordon and Percy.
Okay, I'll admit it. I really like these snowy night shots.
Have a look about you, take in what you see. There's a world around you, wherever you may be. Favorite names and places, everywhere you go. Sodor is our island, the only home we know.
This song is okay. It's calming and the children's singers are alright, but nothing, repeat, nothing can ever top the Island song in terms of slow, calm songs.
Out of Henry's tunnel or climbing Gordon's hill.
Holy shit! Donald and Douglas did appear in this season! In a deleted scene. And coincidentally, said scene was for the next episode we'll be looking at.
The Duke and Duchess of Boxford came to visit their new summer house. They came on their own private engine called Spencer.
I never actually owned Gordon and Spencer on DVD as a kid, so this was the only Spencer episode I had on home media. Yeah, I only had this Spencer episode, and this was the only Bullstro toy I had. I felt like I had a sad childhood. But on the bright side, seeing Spencer on the back of the DVD case made me desperate to watch it. So that's something.
The Fat Controller's engines were very cross. Spencer's just a big silver show-off, sniffed Gordon.
Well, that's rich coming from you, Mr. I am the biggest and the best.
Spencer set off and quickly passed Edward.
I've won already.
He boasted.
I love that line.
Spencer stopped at Wellsworth Station. The Duke and Duchess wanted to buy some tea and cakes from the refreshment lady.
You know, it's shots like this that makes me admire the set during the 25-year-long model series. The CGI series had a selection of great sets as well, but I feel that you shouldn't really ignore these model sets, mainly because, unlike that later generation, every single one of these sets were made by hand. And there are sets like this one that took a long time to build, was used for only one shot in one episode, and then dismantled. And nobody gives a shit about it. It's pretty sad when you think about it.
Edward is a waste of steam, he sniffed. But when Gordon passed Edward and saw how hard he was trying, he felt bad about what he had said.
Character development. Oh wait,
The Duke and Duchess had finished taking photographs and were back on board. "Time to go," said his driver and rang the bell.
A bell? Since when did Spencer have a bell? Anyway, I can't see a bell. Is his driver holding one? Is it in his cab? Is it on top of his boiler like most American engines?
Spencer was dreaming of victory. He didn't hear the bell. And he didn't hear Edward puffing past him.
This is why I think this episode is a 6 out of 10. Not only were some of these characters actually in character for once, but this episode is basically The Tortoise and the Hare with steam trains. I like this story idea for some reason. I'm surprised they didn't do this back in season 6 or 7.
But as he reached the siding, his driver ordered him to slow down. "These are old tracks and you are a very heavy engine," he said. "You must go slowly."
Well, that's a stupid place to put a summer house if a big heavy engine like Spencer is your private engine. Well, no wonder the house was relocated in Hero of the Rails.
It was a crisp, cold winter day on the island of Sodor. Snow lay thick on the ground.
Were the roads cleared by this point?
I was here first.
Grumbled James.
Why do I have to wait?
"The mail train is more important than slow goods," said his driver.
If the writers only remembered that the mail train is supposed to be delivered during the night, then this wouldn't be a problem.
"I have to go first," said Thomas excitedly. "I'm a guaranteed connection."
With who? Henry's passengers? Bertie's passengers? I'm only asking because they might have changed it during this era.
"You must take coal to all the stations on the island. It's a very important job," he added.
An actual important job this time, as opposed to delivering flour, a carpet, jam, a flagpole, china, toffee, a giant snowman balloon, cheese, a bike, a hot air balloon, bunting, bubble mixture, storybooks, a portrait of Dowager Hat, flowers, a kite festival cup, a nesting pole, dirty washing, bottles of lemonade, a top hat, a giant balloon, or a calliope. I had to watch a couple of Nitrogen era episodes just for this one single line in this script. You're welcome.
Come on,
He steamed impatiently.
I have an important job to do.
Can't he just find another water tower on the way to the coaling plant? He's not desperate for water as of now.
The signalman telephoned for help, and soon Salty was on his way. He pulled up alongside James. "Why didn't you fill up with water this morning, matey?"
Wait, what's Salty gonna do? Oh wait, he was going to shunt James to the water tower, wasn't he? For a second there, I thought the writers had become so stupid as to think diesels run on water.
"No job is more important than helping another engine," he said to himself. "And even diesel is an engine."
Don't just go to the scrapyard where you belong, you outdated kettle pot.
At last, James got diesel to the repair yard. But he still had to deliver his coal.
Looking at the footage, it looks as though he hasn't been to a single station yet. And when he finally does see one, he just keeps going, not stopping to actually deliver the coal. I'm just pointing it out because nothing is stopping me from doing so, even if it makes a video over an hour long.
Henry is ready to leave the station. What's he pulling today? Henry huffs happily out of the station hauling horses.
Okay, that was quick. So after that...
Henry huffs happily out of the station hauling horses and hats.
Those are some giant hats. There's no way they can properly fit on...
Now, Henry huffs happily out of the station hauling horses, hats and hot dogs.
Will you just let me finish? Also, someone used the enlargement ray on these hot dogs too.
Can you remember what Henry is hauling?
Oh, I get it. Not only is this a really poor memory game, but this is the chance for someone to put their alliteration skills to the ultimate test.
Let's see. Henry huffs happily out of the station hauling horses, hats, hot dogs and hay. Trees were blown, leaves were scattered, and the Fat Controller's hat flew away.
I can't believe that they would later make 2 separate episodes about this little tiny harmless gag and treat it like it's a serious problem. Yeah, I don't like them either.
It must get to Maythwaite Station before the world-famous opera singer Alicia Botti arrives, he boomed. Alicia Botti was coming to open the flower show.
Well, that's a bit weird, having an opera singer open a flower show. Isn't that like paying Ryan Reynolds to just open a toy shop?
They all wanted to collect the special, but the Fat Controller gave the job to Percy. Gordon and James were sniffy. Percy was disappointed to see it was a roll of carpet.
What's so special about a carpet?
He wished gloomily.
Why the hell doesn't Percy ask this question in the thousands of specials I mentioned earlier? What's so special about some toffee? What's so special about some storybooks? What's so special about an unbelievably large balloon?
Do you know any magic words? Said Salty. You mean like please? Asked Percy hopefully.
Now that's a really good joke, especially since we already had the say please and thank you moral in an earlier episode on the same disc. Although Trevor, Elizabeth or Thomas never actually tell Emily.
What's the magic word?
As Percy puffed away, the carpet unrolled, as if by magic.
There seriously wasn't a single workman around to tie the carpet down with ropes?
When Gordon saw what Percy's special was, he sniffed louder than ever.
That was what I actually thought he was doing when I was younger.
Murdoch passed by, pulling a long train.
Oh shit, I never expected to see him either. He doesn't have any lines of dialogue, but it's really nice to see him for a change. And at least they remembered the fact that Murdoch can pull long, heavy trains.
See?
Cried Percy.
It is magic. It can fly.
No, wait, don't go. You still have plenty of potential. Oh, we're stuck with the main characters again now.
It flew off Toby and landed on the tracks.
Help! Cried Percy. My magic carpet.
Thomas was coming and he was on the same track as the carpet. So Percy and Gordon blew their whistles as loud as they could.
You know, I have this itching feeling that we should do something. Like moving the carpet off the tracks ourselves. Nah, they'll just use the power of Deus Ex Machina. Wait, what?
The wind whistled and the carpet flapped. It lifted off the tracks and fluttered onto Percy's flatbed.
See? What did I tell you? Isn't this back when Thomas and the Magic Railroad was still fresh in children's minds? Yeah, magic. Yeah, that's definitely what happened. Yeah.
Percy's driver had tied the carpet down.
Oh, now they tie it down.
Percy told him about the magic carpet.
It tried to get away, he gasped, and caused confusion and delay.
You're a poet and didn't know it. Oh!
Soon the carpet was unloaded and put into place.
Now that I see the carpet doing its purpose, it looks rather underwhelming. Don't you think it should have been longer and maybe a little bit thinner?
The Fat Controller laughed.
Oh, there's no such thing as a magic carpet,
he boomed. Percy and Gordon were not so sure.
Well, that's a strange, eerie thing to end the DVD on. No, seriously, they don't even play the roll call song in this one, or the next one. They just abruptly stop. So, let's just get all this magic stuff out of our mind by having a special features game break.
If you were an engine, who would you be?
That's a good question. I think I would be...
What do you think is the best job on the island of Sodor?
Oh, I see. This is just one of those online quizzes. In that case,
What is your favourite activity?
B.
What is your favourite place on the island of Sodor?
C or D? C.
What is your motto or favourite saying? A.
Cinders and ashes.
B.
Electric indeed. Electric indeed.
C.
Here's James.
D.
Oh, the indignity!
E.
Lost my buffers.
A.
What don't you like to do?
I don't know. A.
What is your favourite number?
7 actually is a lucky number. So, B.
You love to.
D.
What was one of your favourite adventures?
B.
Which engine would you most like to be for a day?
B, 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 B. As soon as you mention Edward, I click on it.
Which of these qualities best describes you?
Oh, God. Even though it would be impossible to do, I'm gonna go with E.
Please wait while we add up your score. If you were an engine, you would be Toby.
That's not bad. I mean, if we're talking about classic series Toby, then great. But hit entertainment Toby? Let's move on to the other game.
The fishermen have caught the biggest catch of fish ever, and I need your help to take them. But the track to Brendan Dock is very bumpy, so only take 2 trucks at a time, and make sure you go slowly and steady.
This is basically a train simulation game for 4-year-olds who aren't allowed to use a computer. I am in complete control of the engine. So...
It's really hot outside, and the ice cream factory needs raspberry syrup to finish making the ice cream. I know you like taking children to the beach, so try to take as many loads as you can, as quickly as you can. I would suggest taking a lot of trucks at the same time and going at a medium speed.
Screw that, I want to cause confusion and delay.
Just in the nick of time. Now you can take the children to the beach. Thomas.
Wait, what the fuck is this? I thought I was going to take children to a sunny summer beach. You tricked me into doing more dirty work.
This shipment of coal needs to be delivered to the other side of Sodor. Be sure to go slow because the tracks are very icy and cold. I would only take 4 trucks so you can stay in control on the slippery tracks.
You told me I was going to carry children, not coal. Because of this, I shall use my godlike powers to do every train simulator's favourite pastime, causing a crash. We don't actually see it on screen, but God, it's great that they let you do that. But enough fun. Let's go ahead and watch 7 whole episodes with Thomas as the lead character. Yeah, this DVD was when Thomas's long reign of star billing truly began.
Thomas was taking some workmen to work. They were building a new station. Every day, Thomas had to take the workmen there and bring them home again.
Since this new station is a main line station, I thought James or Emily would do this job, but okay.
He was worried about the bend, but his good friends Annie and Clarabelle were there to help him. Slow down, they sang out. Slow down and puff with care.
I like how Annie and Clarabelle are written here, as guardians or mother-type figures to a young engine like Thomas. In fact, timeline-wise, if this episode took place during Season 1, then I would like it a bit more. But we later see Harvey here, so theory busted.
Thomas said goodbye to Annie and Clarabelle. He was sad. I don't know how I'll manage the difficult bend without you, he told his friends.
Shouldn't we remind him all to... We are never allowed to be a part of the plot anymore. Writer's orders. I'm surprised they still pay us.
Thomas went too fast and gave the coaches a mighty biff. The carriages rolled along the line and bumped into James. Thomas was missing Annie and Clarabelle. He would never have biffed into them.
Can't he just pretend or imagine these branch line coaches as Annie and Clarabelle?
Thomas was supposed to slow down, but he wanted to get past the bend quickly. So Thomas went faster and faster.
We have a whole DVD dedicated to this guy? Someone who forgets the simplest of advice? Go slow?
You wanted to show Salty a thing or two, and you've certainly done that. You've shown him how silly it is to ignore go slow signs. Soon be over, Thomas said to himself. And it soon was.
Right into a big pile of garden herbs. Oh, I mean bushes.
Luckily, no one was hurt.
Bullshit! I have a broken leg here! I've got a broken back! I can't feel my face!
Suddenly, Thomas saw a line of troublesome trucks rushing towards him. They had come uncoupled from Edward.
This is why brake vans are essential, kids.
He made it round a difficult bend all by himself. I've done it, he tooted. But so did the runaway trucks.
Now what the fuck kind of shit is this? Some trucks are able to go round this sharp bend at high speed, but Thomas couldn't? Consistency. You need it.
The troublesome trucks hurtled into a siding. They biffed and bashed the buffers.
Dial this number, and with only £2 a month, you too can help a brake van find a train to slow down.
When they came to the difficult bend, Thomas slowed down and puffed with care. The difficult bend wasn't difficult anymore.
Look, Mommy, I can tie my shoelaces all by myself now. Yeah, that's what this whole difficult bend thing feels like.
Thomas loved this time of the year. The station masters decorated the stations, and children were making snowmen. But there was one thing Thomas didn't like about winter. There was always lots and lots of snow.
Every season has positives and negatives. Ooh, I love the winter because of Christmas. But after that, everything looks all dull and grey and it's too cold. I can never leave my bed. Ooh, I love summer because the bright weather makes everything look its best. But it's too hot for me. I can never have the strength to move anywhere. I just want to melt and die. We can never make up our minds.
There was always lots and lots of snow. It piled up very quickly and blocked the tracks, so Thomas worked hard all day keeping the lines open.
Isn't it usually Donald and Douglas who do this job? Oh wait, they don't exist in Season 8. Except when they do.
Remember, said Harold, don't tell Thomas about the surprise.
Thomas felt left out. He liked surprises.
I know he was worrying his blades to take off, but couldn't he have at least whispered it to Toby? Now Thomas is all hyped.
Percy's trucks were loaded with brightly coloured boxes. Are they part of the surprise? Thomas asked.
Wait, how did you know about the surprise? You weren't supposed to know. Well, not yet. Did someone tell you? But I didn't tell you. I don't want to be irresponsible again. Bye!
Suddenly, Emily turned down one of the branch lines. Thomas raced after her.
This is Thick Wheels to Signal Box 3. We have received a Christmas tree from Red Sausage, and we're on our way to the last checkpoint. But Blue Puffball is right behind us. Over. Roger that, Thick Wheels. I'll divert him onto the main line. Over and out.
The signalman changed the points. Thomas had to go straight ahead.
Yes! Someone's sleeping well tonight.
Thomas was delighted. Finally, he was going to find out what the surprise was. So I wasn't being left out? Cried Thomas. Of course not, said Harold.
How many times are we going to see this kind of plot line? It's becoming really cliché at this point.
The children were very excited. They all wanted to know what the surprise was.
How many times has Angela said the word surprise in this episode?
And there was Thomas's surprise. A huge Christmas tree was standing in the village square.
Oh, now I have a really good excuse to upload this video in December.
Percy is ready to leave the station. What's Percy pulling today? Percy pulls out of the station pulling passengers.
Is he more used to pulling them now?
Percy pulls out of the station pulling passengers and pineapples.
You can pretty much live in those pineapples, they're so huge.
Now Percy pulls out of the station pulling passengers, pineapples and a piano.
Shouldn't that be on a flatbed? It looks like it's going to fall off on that truck.
Percy pulls out of the station pulling passengers, pineapples, a piano and presents.
He stole them from Thomas's surprise. Not to be confused with the amazing Season 4 episode of the same name. Oh, and there's an episode in Season 11 titled Dirty Work.
Lazy.
The fishermen are celebrating their biggest catch of fish ever. Thomas, you must help Arthur take the fish to the docks.
So, are they preparing vans for the flying kipper or what?
When he got to the fishing village, there were lots of trucks, all stacked full of fish.
Risk of contamination at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Sooty fish along with my sooty strawberries. I'll get my daily dose of omega-3 as well as an upset stomach.
What a horrible smell. Then Arthur arrived.
And here's the last of the Season 7 newbies who could return. See, they didn't abandon or forget about them completely.
The trucks wiggled and they giggled.
Does anyone know who did these giggling noises? Was it Angelus, or Brandon, or was it someone else?
Salty was at the bottom of the hill. He didn't know Thomas was coming down the hill.
Yet he's looking behind him as if he does.
Thomas braked as hard as he could, but the fish trucks were too heavy.
Now Thomas is going through exactly what Arthur went through in the Spotless Record. Yeah, Arthur was purposefully put in this episode to remind you.
Never mind me, Artie, said Salty. The smell reminds me of the sea.
Yeah, why isn't Salty at the docks right now?
This time, Thomas shunted an enormous line of 20 trucks. The troublesome trucks were up to some of their old tricks. Hold back, they giggled.
Yeah, it's quite obvious when they would use a film camera and when they decide to use a GoPro.
But it was nearly time for the ship to leave.
Where are they sending the fish to? The mainland? What about the flying kipper? Aren't there any Sodrian towns who need fish?
It was full steam ahead on the island of Sodor.
And here it is, one of the more universally praised episodes of the new series. And I agree, this one is pretty good.
I have a special job for you, he said. You are to collect some scrap from the smelter's yard tonight, on Halloween.
Imagine being scared of Halloween, puffed Thomas. Oh, the smelter's yard, sniffed Emily. Pah, added Thomas.
I'm sorry, but after seeing adaptations of the Richard Jordan story Diesel's Demons, I now see these talking trains with faces in a whole new way. Like Diesel did. I would highly recommend reading or listening to it yourself. It's one of the best fan-written stories ever made, in my opinion. Wait, I'm supposed to be talking about Season 8, aren't I?
Help, wailed Emily. That's a ghost. Let's get away from here. They didn't know Harry and Bert had been bumping the flatbed's buffers.
Is that the best you two can do? I don't approve of you scaring some steam engines just because, but you could be a little more convincing. Why not knock a pile of scrap over with those trucks, or something?
They gasped at the ghostly shadows and fizzing sparks. Their wheels felt as if they were frozen, but they had to go inside.
This is where the episode gets really good. The dark atmosphere, the better than usual writing, the use of sparks, mist and glowing red lights, and especially the creepy sound effects.
"That's my buffers!" cried Emily. She didn't notice the huge white tarpaulin. It fell, covering her from funnel to footplate. "The ghost! It's got me!"
And now we've come to the best bit of the episode. The chase scene. Not only is it dark and somewhat intimidating, but just listen to the creepy and epic music. Most of Robert Honshawn's music in Season 8 was really good, before it got more forgettable afterwards. His music and character themes weren't as good as Mike and Junior's, but at least he put some effort into the melodies and use of instruments, and the Halloween music is definitely his best piece of music from the entire new series.
The Fat Controller arrived wearing his pyjamas.
Has anyone managed to preserve this Fat Controller figurine? It's pretty amusing.
"It was us, sir," Bert mumbled. "For your punishment, you will go back and collect the iron at once," said the Fat Controller.
Shouldn't Ari and Bert have been the ones to transport the iron to begin with? I mean, it doesn't exactly say troublemaker on their bodies, does it?
There is no such thing as ghosts. It was all silly make-believe.
I'm not even going to say anything about that. It's just weird.
Surprises, surprises, they come all shapes and sizes. You never know what's round the bend. It might delight, it might offend. That's why there's surprises with all their highs and lows. You come out top or up or stop. Who knows, who knows, who knows?
Another decent song. I'd rank it second overall on the list.
The railway inspector was coming. Signals were checked.
More stock footage. Look, it's fine in music videos, but in actual episodes? Not really.
"What's a railway inspector called?" Percy asked. "He comes to look at the railway every year. He checks everything is spick and span," said Thomas.
And safe as well. You can't exactly have faulty signals, jammed points, and malfunctioning engines, can you?
A big cloud of stone whooshed down and landed right on top of Thomas.
What brain-dead idiots are getting paid actual money to work on this railway?
"Hurry up! I need to get clean for the inspection." "There's no need for you to get clean," said Emily. "I'm going to be the grandest engine there."
I thought Emily respected Thomas in the last episode. What is she doing siding with the dickish tender engines?
"Oh no," puffed Thomas. "The railway inspector, but I'm still dirty." So Thomas raced back to the washdown.
Wait. You're leaving me to sort out all these trucks again? Some friend you are.
When Thomas got to the washdown, James was already there.
There has to be another washdown somewhere else. These episodes are written as if there is only one water tower, one coal hopper, one washdown.
Gordon blew to clean his funnel. Coal dust shot into the air. It covered the Fat Controller and the railway inspector.
It's interesting and a little bit creepy the way they animated the eyes opening.
"I'm glad you made me come to the inspection," puffed Thomas. "It's just like you said," puffed Percy. "A really useful engine can look as grand as any engine."
I thought it didn't matter if an engine is clean or not, as long as the work is done properly. I mean, the railway board didn't let Harvey join the railway just because he was clean.
Gordon pulled the express, and Percy took the mail.
Wow, he's actually delivering the mail during the night, as it was established in the beginning.
"I'm puffed out," said Thomas. "I wish I had some help delivering the coal."
Ah, huffed Gordon. A really useful engine doesn't need help. I need an engine to run 3 specials for me.
I can do it, puffed Thomas. He was tired, but he wanted to prove he was a really useful engine.
You must take some chickens to the market, sheep to the farm, and the children to school. That's a very big job for a small engine, chuffed Gordon. You're bound to need some help.
Oh my god, he just said something, stating it like it was fact, but then 30 seconds later, he completely goes against it. Make up your mind!
Thomas was getting more and more tired. He started to get into a muddle. Sheep to market, children to farm, chickens to school, yawned Thomas.
Annie and Clarabelle are right the fuck behind him. Why don't they just, I don't know, remind him of the right order? They have no problem reminding Thomas to go slow on the difficult bend, so why don't they say anything here?
When Thomas arrived at the market, he was very muddled indeed. Please, unload the sheep, said Thomas.
But our order calls for chickens. I think you got things all muddled up. I said unload the sheep!
Said Thomas. When Thomas got to the farm, he told the children that it was their stock.
Anything is better than trying to do long division or trying to understand the Battle of Hastings.
Finally, Thomas arrived at the school. Only the chickens were left.
Shouldn't there be a bus to take the children to school? Do they really need a railway engine to do it?
And the classroom was full of chickens. And that night, when Thomas finally went to sleep, he dreamt about sheep and chickens and children.
Oh yes, I like children.
Thomas wonders if he could be a different colour. What colour could Thomas be painted instead of blue?
Maybe green.
What if he were green like Henry? Then he would be the colour of the grass, or the leaves on the trees.
Or his best friend Percy. I don't know why I had to mention that for you.
He puffs past Trevor. Trevor is covered with lots of bright blue ribbons.
I like how even though this era was focusing more on the main characters, they still featured cameos from older characters like Trevor, Arthur, Murdoch, Spencer, Harvey, Bertie, Harold, Donald, Douglas, and some others later on. Except for Duck, Oliver, and Toad for some reason. I don't know why they didn't use them until season 12.
If ribbons can be blue, and balloons can be blue, and the sky is blue, then blue is a jolly good colour for engines after all.
Blue is the only colour for a really useful engine. Everyone knows that.
It was a glorious day on the island of Sodor.
Oh, thank God, we're nearly at the end.
Thomas steamed into the dock. Cranky was unloading the circus.
Why did they use a GoPro for this shot?
But the band started playing and everybody was cheering. Thomas thought this was the most wonderful special ever. Even though the train was very heavy,
I do like the circus theme and all, but I can put in some more appropriate music.
Casey Jr.'s coming down the track with a smoky stack. Hear him puffin' coming round the hill. Casey's here to thrill every Jack and Jill. Every time his funny little whistle sounds, everybody hurries to the circus ground. Time for lemonade and cracker jack. Casey Jr.'s back, Casey Jr.'s back.
"Is there anything I can take?" Percy asked hopefully. But Thomas wanted to keep all the fun to himself. "No, thank you," he gasped. "I can do it all on my own."
This is literally the exact same story and moral as the episode we just watched. This has less variety than a box of celebrations that only has Mars bars in it.
"If you want to uncouple some trucks," he said hopefully, "I could take them for you."
"No, thank you," gasped Thomas. "I can do it all on my..."
Can't we just get to the problem already?
Thomas's traction rods broke. Thomas stopped with a jolt.
Well, That's one way to make him stop. Plus, I never noticed this as a kid, but all the modelers did here was remove one of Thomas's side rods and just put both of Edward's side rods on his wheels. Sorry for ruining the illusion, but when you're watching this on a big TV, like I am, it's pretty noticeable.
Even the performers practicing in the field didn't make Thomas feel better.
Clown!
Thomas shared out the trucks. Percy took the horses. James took the performers.
I'm not used to having an engine in front of me, Mr. James. Oh, thank God I'm done. Let's just hope I can watch something less repetitive and mediocre next time. But until then, have a very Merry Christmas, have a Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and blah 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 blah. I'm going to bed.